Hey, it is the week of Christmas. So we are going to start on chapter 5, which is first responder suicide. Not a very holiday type subject, if you will. We're following this book, First Responder Resilience. But the tools that we've been given are great for no matter what you're going through. So I'm Kerry with Wellness for Warriors. We will be doing a 10-part video series on this book, leading us into Bulletproof Spirit, which will be led by Brian Mason. Now, last week, they did a video conference to discuss the first 4 chapters. This video is being released the week of Christmas, and we did it this reason because many of our warriors, many of our military and our veterans and our first responders, and even their family members, sometimes the holidays can be a very difficult time. We know this by being part of Cox Health. We see the stress on our patients and their family members and the staff. And so we wanted to bring this to you this week, not as a topic of depression, but a topic of hope. So when we talk about suicide, we're talking about people, for the most part, have given up hope. And so what we're going to do today is simply give you some hope. And so we want to talk about a few details about this. So when you look at suicide with our warriors, and we know in the military world, it's about 22 per day. We know that in the first responder world, it's up there as well, but also in the healthcare profession. There's just it's a crazy time right now we're living in 2020. This has been a rough year. This has been a rough year with COVID, with the election and all the stuff that's going on. But we want to bring you hope today, okay? So Christmas is just in a few days. And whether you celebrate Christmas or not, we hope that this series gives you tools to use to help you move forward. First thing we want to let you know is you're not alone. And that's very important. I want you to know that we're here for you. There are organizations that we collaborate with that we can connect you with as well. You are not alone. So no matter what you're going through, we want you to reach out. We want to touch base with you and see what we can do to help you move forward. Now, when we talked about trauma last week, or 2 weeks ago, if you will, trauma is something you experience after an event that leaves you with traumatic experiences. So, i.e., a serious car wreck, i.e., a helicopter going down, or whatever it is, a shooting. Whenever there's an event that leaves a trail of trauma in you, that's how we define it as a traumatic event. But it's not always instant. Those of us that have given our life to service, we go out there, we do our job, and even though it might be a very tragic time, sometimes it doesn't hit us till later. Many times, it doesn't happen until later on, maybe a year later. So that's what I think it's very important to understand, that you think, oh, well, somebody went through this, they seem fine, but you never know what might happen a year down the road. So we're going to talk about 2 things. Psychic battering. What is psychic battering? So these are stress progressions. We've talked about the different stressors in this series. Psychic battering is the wear and tear over a period of time. So a loss of hope, a loss of faith, and a loss of a healthy perspective that can lead one to destructive behaviors. So that's why you always hear us talk about self-care. I took a few days to spend with my mom and my family and just to disengage. My wife and I got a hotel, and we were able to just go there and see my mom, but also relax. Very, very, I much needed that. And sometimes we've got to do that to take care of ourselves so we can take care of others. But a psychic battering is the wear and tear over a period of time, a loss of hope, faith, and a healthy perspective that can lead to self-destructive behaviors. This is what happens if you don't address the feelings you might be experiencing, whether it is right after the event or a year later. If you're starting to sense some stress there and ignore it, it's going to beat down on you and it's going to wear down on you. And the longer you ignore that, the more you're going to lose that sense of hope and that faith and that healthy perspective. We don't want you to get to that point. Another thing that stress progression is getting stuck in the moment. This is the result when sufficient care is not given. And in this book, the author talked about bad mental health. Bad care for mental health is worse than no mental health care at all. So what we do at Wellness for Warriors, find out what your need is, get you connected with whatever resources you need, and walk with you through that journey. I want to share a story. It's in page 78 of this book. And it's a short story, but I want to read it to you real quick. The call was for an unconscious child, unknown cause. But when he and the partner arrived, so these are the paramedics or EMTs, they found a badly beaten boy with various stages of healing injuries. So this had been going on for a while. It seems this little 5-year-old's life had been one of torture and horrible pain. The final event resulted in extensive brain damage. The child died while en route to the hospital. The paramedic told me, so this is the author, Tanya, telling this story. The paramedic told Tanya he just could not get past the fact that he wasn't able to do more. He felt helpless, and he felt responsible, and he felt shame. Now, this child had gone through a terrible life, if you will, but it wasn't this paramedic's fault. And I think, though, there are times where we take on, we could have done more, or we should have done more, when in all reality, we couldn't. So, what do we need to know? The worst thing we can do whenever we're going through times like this, where we come upon an experience, whether it's a story like this, where this young boy had a life of torture, a life of abuse, other experiences, whether it's a traumatic accident on the highway, in the military, we can go on and on. I shared the story recently about my uncle who did 2 tours in Vietnam, and his helicopter was shot down, and he was the only one that survived. But then his unit was called out on maneuvers, 2 different situations, 2 different times, and he was the only one that survived. There were other experiences that my uncle brought home with him, if you will, and he was never the same again. But the worst thing you can do is have these feelings and not do anything. So, 3 words I want to leave with you today. Because we're talking about veteran suicide, first responder suicide, healthcare profession suicide, whatever it is, are warriors that have given their life to service but have been beaten down, and then they find themselves in a situation where they feel like there's no hope. But I want to leave you with 3 words today: that there is hope. So we want to encourage you to reach out. You know, we all go through stuff. And it's not a bad thing. I know there are times I will call people just to share what my day was like, or they'll call me or text me or whatever. We need each other. So if you're going through a hard time right now, don't go through it alone, especially during the holiday season. Listen, we got, in the medical world, we got the vaccine coming for COVID-19, but understand that while we hope this is a ray of sunshine, it's going to be a while till we start seeing a change. We're in the middle of the flu season. Our numbers are still up as far as the COVID virus. So don't go through this journey alone if you're feeling like you're without hope. So reach out to us, because there is hope. And so this is Kerry with Wellness for Warriors. Now, next week, we're going to be talking about resilience. Okay, chapter 6. But for sure, if you're out there and you watch this video and you're going, I'm one of those that don't have hope, or have lost my hope, or I'm losing it, don't wait. Reach out. Our email is on the screen, so feel free to email us at wellnessforwarriors@coxhealth.com, and we will respond to you within that day and find out what you need and get you connected. So listen, happy holidays. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. We'll see you next week, so I won't say Happy New Year until then, but we just want to let you know we appreciate you and we care for you. So until then, have a good however you're going to celebrate this Christmas season here in the United States. But just know that you're not alone, and there is hope.